Hello Greenstylers, Cynthia here with a sewing tutorial for the right triangle bikini bottoms. If you are looking for a fun, quick and easy string bikini bottoms pattern with Greenstyle quality, then you have come to the right place. Join me as I sew up this super quick bikini pattern and soon you'll have a whole wardrobe full of them. Here are the pieces that you'll need to cut to make your right triangle bikini bottoms. Cut one of piece P1, the front back main. Choose either the low, mid, or high-rise piece to cut out. Choose your coverage preference and cut along the cheeky, mid, or fuller coverage cut line. Cut one of the corresponding lining piece P2 and make sure to use the same coverage cut lines. Cut 2 strips of fabric for the ties. They should be 1.5 inches wide by 40 inches long up to the width of the fabric. We'll shorten them at the end. To make the ties, fold them in half lengthwise with right sides touching. Use a stretch stitch or serger and a 1/4 inch seam allowance to stitch down the length of the tie. Use a safety pin or your turning method of choice to turn the ties right side out. Repeat for the other tie and set them aside. The 2 finishing options offered on the right triangle bikini top and bottom are the fold under method, which is shown on this piece right here, and also the fully enclosed method, and I'll go over them briefly. The fully enclosed method, you stitch the pieces together with right sides together, and as you can see, there's no top stitching on this piece, and if I flip it over to look at the back side, the inside is clean with no top stitching, and there are no raw edges visible. The raw edges are located in between the 2 layers of fabric as well as the elastic. For the fold under method, it's pretty simple method. You put the 2 pieces with wrong sides together and baste them together, and then you fold under toward the inside. So on this piece, you can see that the main fabric is folded under. The raw edges are all located right here along this edge, and you can see the stitching on the inside. You are required to top stitch this version, so the top stitching is visible from the outside. Both methods work great. They're about the equal amount of work, so it's total personal preference on what is important to you and how you like working those finishes. For this video, I'll be using the fully enclosed method, but if you'd like to see the turn under method, head over to the right triangle bikini top video. I'll add a link in the video description for you. Take your main and liner pieces to the table and lay the liner piece on top of the main piece with right sides touching. Notice that the liner is slightly smaller than the main. That's intentional so that when you wear it, the liner is pulled toward the inside of the suit. Pin or clip along the long curved edges. Stitch along both long edges using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. We suggest adding some clear or swim elastic to the seam allowance for stability. Add it to the main fabric side of the seam allowance and begin the elastic about 1/2 inch away from the edge. That way you won't have 2 layers of elastic folded on top of itself when you fold the top edge for your tie channel. Sew the elastic at a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning do not stretch the elastic at all and make sure to keep it within the seam allowance. And here's how it will look after you stitch the elastic. You can see that there's just a little bit of seam allowance right below the elastic, and that is what we want. We want to keep the elastic up above the seam allowance. Some of the elastic may stick out over the top, and that is perfectly fine and okay. What you don't want is for the elastic to come down in this area in the main part of the swimsuit. Keep it up in the seam allowance. Once you have stitched both sides of the swimsuit, reach inside and turn the whole thing right side out. We'll next baste the liner to the main along these two edges. Create channels for the drawstrings by folding over that top edge toward the lining side about a ½ inch. Top stitch close to the raw edge of that fabric that's folded onto the back. I used a lengthened straight stitch for my top stitch because this swimsuit will not be stretched horizontally at all. If you feel more comfortable using a stretch stitch, you could use your cover stitch or even a lightning bolt or triple straight stitch. Repeat these channel steps for the other side of the swimsuit. Now use your threading tool of choice, mine being a safety pin, to thread those ties through the channels that you've just created. Work the ties until the swimsuit is centered in the ties. Try it on, tie them up, and decide how long you'd like the ties to be. If you'd like to cut off any excess, do that, and then tie little knots at the end of the ties, clip off any hanging threads, and you are done. Congratulations on completing your very own right triangle bikini bottoms. I hope you've enjoyed this fun and easy process. As always, please share your makes across social media using hashtag #GSTriangleBikini. We can't wait to see what you've created. Happy sewing from all of us at Greenstyle.